That's Ted, so not Alex, right?
Right. Well, no, that's, yes, right. You need to resume the,
Yep. Should be set.
okay. All right. Assembled people's having assembled. Call the meeting to order. Additions or deletions to the agenda?
Is it worth having an update from the hiring committee? Because it's not on here. I don't know if you guys met.
So Mariah can do that.
I would be happy to do that.
Where should we do it? At the end?
Reports.
Yeah, it should be a
It
report.
could be a report.
Um,
Down below. You wanted, how about the beginning of the reports?
oh,
I think we have T.G. Miller at the beginning.
Oh, you
Oh,
do?
look, David O'Shea is here.
Maybe we could do it after that?
Sure.
Do we also need an agenda item to allocate more money for that project? Because it's not on the agenda. I don't know if that matters. But you put out a
The
draft.
proposal that was
Yes.
sent, I don't think it needs to be an agenda item. I
Okay.
think we can just make a resolution.
Okay. That's my only thought.
Well, the question is, if it's going to be a resolution, it needs to be in the business someplace.
Oh, very good.
Okay.
Oh, well, so we'll move it to business if, for
Well, that part of it, we can just tack on the end of business.
yeah.
okay.
Do we need to increase the amount for George France?
Yes,
Because we did a not to exceed.
yes, we
7,500.
did, and we will want
I
more.
don't know if we can do, whether we should do it today or in 2
I guess we
weeks.
probably have a month to do it if we wanted to.
Right, exactly. And we're better positioned to know
Okay, so we should put that.
how the hours
next-
are going and where the rest of the money's gonna come from. We can think about it.
Be on the next agenda or. the next-
Yeah. I did think about it. It's something that we would probably want to do, but
Yeah. And the CDBG, we got, that's on there.
Yep.
We could bring it up. We in the past have talked about not naming people that were recipients of that program.
where do we do that?
Well, we could do it there on 9/1, there's the program guidelines, we could put it down there somewhere.
Oh, you mean
know.
put it in the guidelines that we don't?
No, I'm saying we've had conversations in the past where we talked about not mentioning people's names.
Unless-
Because the grant is based on income level.
Yeah, no,
Other
that's,
things.
yeah, unless people self-identify and don't mind, but.
Right. But how often do we ask them? Do we ask them that when they fill out the application? Probably not.
We don't.
Anyway, we've
Mm.
talked about it in the past, and I
Yes.
know that there've been a couple times when the names are put
Yeah.
out there, so either we are or we aren't.
Well, I mean, your point is, I think, but that it maybe should be mentioned in the guidelines, that this is because otherwise it's just something we agreed upon once upon a time and who knows where it is. It's
Well, I
not
thought
trying
the
to
guidelines
policy.
were their thing. I thought the guidelines were their,
Well,
isn't
it's
it-
information for applicants. And also guidelines for how it's conducted. But so it could be in the, information to applicants, part of it.
okay, well,
Couldn't
somewhere,
it?
I just thought we needed to,
That it's our policy
Right.
not to tell people
Yes.
who you are unless you don't mind. We can talk about it there.
yeah.
Anything else that needs to be added to the agenda? Okay, over to the floor. Anyone? Ron's already got a hand up.
Hi,
Leave your hand up.
everyone. I think, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, good. I just noticed that the button down there had changed, so I was looking at it. But anyway, I would like to request that the town clerk post the notice from Ironwood, because many people in the town have already had dealings with Ironwood and probably would be interested in what Ironwood has to say. That's the first thing. The second thing is that I let's see. I would like to be able to have some time to look at the FOIL policy updates. I really hadn't had a chance to read them because I do a lot of foiling. And the other one is I'd like to be able to read the attorney's comments to the special event law, but I didn't see them when I clicked on special event law. So I would like to read the attorney's comments. Thank you.
Ted,
Hi there. I'm going to go down. I have 6 items here, and oddly enough, 2 of them are very similar to what some of them are similar to what Rhonda was just saying. Going down the agenda, item 1 in the clerk's report. I'm just curious what the meaning of the strikeouts is. Every item has a big line through it. That's easy. Number 2, I noted that in your expenses, you reimbursed someone for $60 for a license fee, a notary fee. I don't see that that's necessarily wrong, but it seems a little unusual to be reimbursing someone for a personal license. I don't know if it's been the practice in the past, so I'm just curious if someone could say a couple words about it. Number 3, in the FOIL revisions, which I got a chance to skim, I'd just like to repeat the comment that I made, I think, when you first pass it, that there's a phrase in there where you say responsibility to insure. I don't think you mean insure unless you're talking about the town's municipal insurance policy. You mean ensure. Number 4, like Rhonda, attorney's comments, what is available on the web linked from that section looks like the exact same document as is linked from the front page of the Danby website, except that certain sections are outlined in yellow. If you're going to go into executive session to discuss legal advice, that's one thing. But if you're going to discuss it in open meeting, we need to see the comments. We have to see a comment that's under discussion. Number 5, committee meetings. Oh, yes, community meetings. I thought that was a very interesting document. I have really only one question. How, other than some rules of order which is a lot of what the document is, how do you see this? Are you trying to somehow differentiate this from a regular town board meeting which consists entirely of privilege of the floor? It seems to me that if you, just because you're not going to do any business, nevertheless, you're discussing town business, and so all the usual notice and minutes and all the other requirements of a public meeting of a public body would apply. I'm questioning really the first couple of sentences in there. Number 6, and I'll digress slightly. I was listening to a article on NPR the other day about the right to repair. And okay, yeah, many people know that as the big issue there is tractors that the dealer must repair. You can no longer repair it yourself, and how various companies are building things into their products that make it impossible for the owner to actually repair it themselves or even understand it. And one of the items that came up during that hour-long article was you have people who have ordinary devices, like iPhones or websites, that all of a sudden the interface changes and everything they knew about it, they have to relearn. All the customization and personalization they've made has changed because the company who provided the software made some changes, and that was that. And the relevance here is that I think Blake today, he's been very nice about it to me, but he's been struggling with an update from your software provider, which changed the way that various browsers, if nothing else, interact with the documents on the website. I won't go into details. Blake knows. He doesn't, I don't want to bother him about it. But my question there is, with an IT budget that, if I remember correctly, is in the nature of $30,000 or more, how is it that the town can't maintain stability, can't choose vendors who maintain stability so that the user experience for the people using the website, that's what it's there for after all, us, not you, that they're, they have a stable experience with it. And with that, please enjoy your meeting. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Anyone else for privilege of the floor? Okay, moving on. It's a bunch of correspondence that has been included as of until 3:30 or so. Any comment?
Yes, so in terms of just to address the Ironwood correspondence, that I did not get the chance to work on all the correspondences in the past couple of days. Unfortunately, it's been a little bit busy. I will be posting the Ironwood notice because I've heard a couple of requests for that, as well as the rest of the packet in the next day.
Cool.
I was curious myself about where they were gonna be cutting what, yeah.
It was an incredibly vague notice, much
Yes,
more, and it was just, we'll be cutting trees in your area, let us know if there's any problems.
Yes,
So it was not actually a specific one for the town, it was just the general mail, but I thought it was relevant to it because it was, for the town, so.
mm-hmm. Well, definitely relevant, and it would be good to know where.
Did not say there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We also noticed that, we were just like, it just says we'll be cutting nearby you, it doesn't say where,
Right.
but
We can ask them where.
Yeah, is there
Yeah.
film?
I'm happy to do.
Yeah. Because from what I've heard, they could call themselves the Ironwood heavy-handed. Although it can't be much worse than what the county highway department did on Bald Hill Road,
Oh, yeah.
which was pretty bad, in my opinion. Announcements. Today's Blake's birthday, that's an announcement. Happy birthday to you. Meeting minutes, did any of them get included for approval?
And May 19th?
I did not link them, I'm so sorry, that is entirely my bad, I forgot to put them on the agenda, oh god.
I did look, you sent them out. I
The May
looked at-
19th.
Look too.
Yes, but I didn't.
Were there more than one?
No, May 19th.
The 19th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fifth was also on the table again, because that last meeting was for review, and now there are no, public input on.
I thought we voted on it last Monday or last
No,
meeting.
that was the 5/11.
Right, we
We
voted. on the
voted
special
we
meeting.
voted on the special meeting. I don't remember whether we did the 5th as well, but evidently not.
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry, that's totally my bad, I just did to put them on the agenda.
And I didn't notice. And I reviewed the agenda at least 3 or 4 times and adding things almost to the last minute, but
Huh. Well, did anybody else review May 19th meeting minutes?
besides
You
you,
did?
mean,
Anybody else?
I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'd like to move that we approve the May 19th meeting minutes.
Second that. Blake was responding to my comments almost as I was making them. Any discussion?
It looked good to me.
Okay.
All right, Connors.
Yes.
Dylan. Bruce.
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
thank you.
So which ones are we missing? 5?
The 5th.
5, okay.
I think I reviewed those.
I believe you did every time.
Yeah. Has everybody else looked at them too?
I don't remember, to be honest.
Yeah,
They were sent out a while ago.
yeah, it was.
I have to look back.
We had them for the last meeting, but it was for, he wanted to have opportunity for the public to weigh in.
No,
So we didn't act on them, but we were poised. So I'm willing to move them. Minutes of May 5th.
oh, the May 5th?
Mhm.
think I would abstain because I can't remember looking at them, but if you all did.
No, I know.
I can't remember either.
You want to wait or? Because,
Do you want to wait?
well, because if he's
Exactly.
abstaining, all three of us have to vote yes, so that's a question for Mariah.
Yeah, no, let's wait.
Let's wait, okay, I'll withdraw the motion.
I'll read them in for the big note here.
So, May 5th next time. And reports and presentations are going straight to Town Hall accessibility design modifications. Take it away, Mariah.
Very good. David? David O'Shea.
Yes, hi, good evening. David O'Shea, project manager with TG Miller. Been working with your grounds committee for about 6 months now or so. And these improvements, we're kindly to the point where we've got all the comments and back and forth and options discussed and weighed out. And we're to a very probably 75–80% stage. I cannot share my screen.
We can't if Blake lets you.
Share screen.
You can look there.
It should be good now.
Try now, David. Okay.
There you go.
So, for those not familiar with the project, this portion of the project is updating the entrance to the town hall. The ADA ramp located here is not in compliance with current standards. I believe the town initiated this project to come into compliance and also wanted to create a crosswalk across 96B to access the park. So both being concrete work, we grouped those projects together. So part of this project was also making an accessible building path for the handicap parking spot. So with the current regulations, the elevation difference between the building door threshold and the parking lot was too great to go straight out. So we had to do a turn, which you're only allowed a rise of so much before you have to put a landing. This made the ramp, a little longer than the existing one, and that's part of the reason the existing one's out of compliance. There was no landing. But it worked out nice. We were able to get a handicap spot at the end of the ramp. This will be a doored out access aisle, and this will be a little paved area or grass area. We still have to work through that, but it could be bike parking or whatever you wish. Also some benches, plaza, little area for greeting and before entering the building. Nice walkway entering with raised flower beds. This is kind of the meat and potatoes of grading, probably not much here that would interest many. The garden will get extended a little bit. One difference that I did change since we've last met, I did extend the curbing. This creates a nice line with the entrance up here, so it's one straight line. And this really makes a nice drive path with not varying width.
Do you combine the curbing and big rocks?
Yeah, so the curbing 6 inches in height, and then this area is raised for your septic tank and pump chamber, so they'll put the rocks behind the curbing to add another 6 to 12 inches, whatever needs to be, and then they'll grade up to the existing grade and blend it all together to extend your garden in that area. I don't think you have enough rocks, so they'll have to get additional and blend them with the existing ones.
But you're taking out all the ones on the south side of it.
Yeah, it'll be close. I think they may be shy a little bit, but we have them saving them and reusing what they can. So contractor will have to make it work, whether they provide additional or if there's enough. I believe that's kind of the pretty picture side of it. The railings, I do have to confirm color with you, but they're aluminum powder coat. That should definitely hold the test of time. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the plans.
I notice there's a couple of panels that are missing in the at the bottom there. The detail for the flower bed isn't there.
The details for the what?
The flower bed.
Yeah, the raised flower bed and the stair construction detail. Still working on those, and there's a couple other small ones we're still working through. Our goal is to have the contract and this drawing set with the other already DOT approved drawing set ready for your next meeting for final approval, so we can go out to bid, hopefully be awarded a contract, possibly not awarded, but at least receive bids by mid to end of July for your consideration on moving forward or not.
Great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. Really appreciate you hanging in there with us.
Yeah, no problem. And I can speak to the change proposal if you'd like.
Sure.
So the original proposal we provided was based on concepts provided from the town for the crosswalk, which was provided, I believe, from the planner to DOT. So a lot of those details were worked out. We kept our fee low, knowing DOT had already looked at it and just wanted engineered plans. Early on in that process, there was questions on why that location was chosen and some back and forth with the committee. So we spent a little bit of time looking at all the other options, which we did not anticipate that. And then also with the front entrance, there was a concept plan. And I believe with conversations with Danby, the principal, and some folks at town hall, that plan was fairly worked out, we believed. And as we've progressed, the committee has been very inquisitive with options and trying to make sure, you're building a project that stands the test of time. So I don't think the efforts were wasted, but we did incur additional time that we did not anticipate. We thought the town had worked through this a little more before we came on board. Happy to answer the questions and work through it with the town. It just ended up being more hours on our side than we anticipated.
You want to not that posting?
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
So an extra 3,000 for the design work.
Yes, and that will cover us through. When we do a project, we do charge our time per project.
Right.
And we've incurred most of that fee already. And we are, I'm gonna say, eating some fee on the highway permit. And we probably will eat a little bit of fee on the contract development as well, but we're happy to support the town. We're glad you chose us on this endeavor, so we're willing to do that. It's a large amount to not get compensated for, so.
Right, yeah, and we have made some changes, so we appreciate you hanging in there with us.
And we will deal with this particular proposal, when we get to
When we get to
business.
business.
Yeah.
Okay,
But thanks, David.
yeah, really appreciate you stopping in.
Yeah, would you like me to stick around for business or are we all set?
No, I don't think, you needn't, you're welcome to if you'd like, but there's no compelling need, I don't think,
I think we're good.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
right?
Well, if I don't stick around, enjoy the rest of your meeting. Have a good evening.
Thanks. We have other reports, the clerk's report. You could explain with the strike outside.
I would love to. So this is part of our reconciliation process. It is just going through our spreadsheet and our clerk spreadsheet and taking a look and going, all right, we got in, 7 dog licenses. Is that how many we have accounted for? Yes, great, cross it off. I can ask Cindy to use a check mark instead of just crossing it off, but crossing it off is visually the easiest way to do it. I'm happy to provide a cleaner copy. I think the numbers are still visible even with the strikeout, but it's mostly just it's actually a pro because it shows that we did due diligence.
Mhm.
Fun.
Oh. It's not that strikeout, we didn't have any of those this month.
Quite the opposite. Yeah, it's our verification process that we're actually making sure that we're all the way on top of stuff.
Okay.
So it's literally us going through and saying, yep, is that the number that we have reported? Yep. All right, that's what we got. Yep. So it shows that it's our reconciliation for that.
Mhm. We got Steve's report, which showed like, sort of minimal activity, but
Mhm.
on the enforcement side, but not no activity.
It's the same as the last report, yeah.
Mhm.
But, that third one on West Miller's looking worse.
Well, none of these places are improving with time.
Hmm?
None of these places are improving with time.
Well, that is, I encourage people to drive by and think that we shouldn't be doing something about it.
Mhm. And then, you have the financial reports, account analysis, where we stand with respect to the 3 funds. In our projected spending for the year. Nothing jumped out at me as being. Comments from Ted?
What? What?
Yeah, you're muted, Ted.
Hmm.
There you go.
The first board meeting of the month comes at about the same time that the previous month's bank statements come. So it's hard to give you a full set of reports for each month until the second board meeting. So in the second board meeting of June, you'll be getting all of the May reports. You'll have a chance to take a look at them. And if you see any that stand out as something you'd like to see regularly, let me know. First set of reports, the account analysis is intended to be just a snapshot of where our expenditures are year to date, including the abstract expenses that will be approved this evening. So the first set of reports is somewhat condensed and not complete compared to what you'll be seeing at the second board meeting each month. And in light of the fact that the previous month's bank statements don't come out until the current month,
Yeah.
we're always a month behind in our reporting because our reporting needs to be as accurate as possible to the bank accounts. So that's why you're only seeing the standard 3 account analysis reports today.
Pretty good.
Thank you.
And since they do not indicate any need for any transfers, we can go on to the approval of,
Were we gonna do the hiring committee report during reports?
is that where we're doing?
I thought that's what we decided at the top of the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think you're right. I just didn't
Yeah.
have to make a note of it. So it should be, it would be appropriate to do it now, wouldn't it?
Which one?
Hiring.
Oh,
committee.
pardon me. The search committee has interviewed that we had 21 applicants. We have interviewed 3 and we expect to interview 4 more. 4 more, so 7 altogether. And so at the next board meeting, we'll probably have the top 2 for the board approval.
Thank you.
It's been, yeah, we had PhDs, master's degrees. It was a great group.
A phenomenal level of interest.
I think it's a really good group.
It's amazing how many people are willing to work with a corrupt official. Yeah, now the abstract?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Move the general fund abstract 12, vouchers 193 through 202 for $25,310.80.
I'll second.
Comment?
Nothing. All good.
All right then, Connors.
Yes.
Tilly,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Gagnon,
Yes.
thank you.
Welcome.
Actually, I did have.
You have a comment.
Comment on that, because, it knows me, I don't know if you guys wanted me to. speak
Oh, right, right.
about that. Okay,
Question these days, but
yeah,
I'd move the highway fund abstract 12 vouchers 82 through 95 for $50,130.04.
I'll second.
that's not really anything.
No comments.
Okay.
all right, Connors.
Yes.
Tilly,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Gagnon,
Yes.
thank you.
Welcome.
Can I raise something? In reviewing the minutes from last meeting,
Mhm.
we approved something, but there was an expense that was missing documentation
Is it
related
right?
to the water district.
Yeah.
Did we
Yes.
get it? 'Cause-
I don't know. I have that on my list. Yeah.
Okay, I just, it like poked out as the kind of thing that will get dinged. for
Yeah,
if
there
we
was a
Don't.
there
go
was
back and
a-
Find it.
voucher that
Missing
had
voucher.
2 bills on it and there was only 1 copy of a bill
Mhm.
instead of both.
And I recall Laura saying we'll add it.
Right,
Yeah. she
Whether it
did.
happened or not, I do not know.
Right.
yeah, I'll have to check. I know that the taxes on the 1 hotel bill was taken care
That
of.
got fixed.
Yes, that got fixed.
Yeah. I can double check,
Yeah.
yeah. It's on my scribble here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it was just a receipt that was missing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that was abstract 11.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I will remark that there's a bunch of stuff that would be normally easily taken care of, because people are being trained. That it's kind of a lot to take in and make sure that everything gets done. So we're still dealing with things not getting done as quickly as one might wish.
I mean, the other thing I know that Laura's working on, trying to make it sort of easier and, more routine, but, some of the highway bills are we're supposed to be using state contract.
Right, and verification that we
And-
are.
yeah.
Is,
And everything on this highway bill meets the guidelines.
Mhm.
But she's working on trying to find a way that it could be attached to the,
Mhm. So the board, in the board's review, we
yeah.
can
So we'll get
confirm,
it.
yes,
Yeah,
that we did in fact use the contract. We
it's
got
not
it.
easy. I mean,
Sounds like a lot of work.
kind of
It is a lot of
complicated,
work.
but
You know, and we've been doing it, but what we haven't been doing is documenting that we've been doing it.
Yeah.
So that, you know, from when they audit it, if it's not documented, you haven't done it, as far as they're concerned. Okay, all ready? Move on. The first item on business is the CDBG program guidelines, which I was really happy to see written up.
Yeah.
Want to comment?
Is there anything different? Or are they just,
There were a few, this wasn't asked of the town in the last few years to sort of adopt or approve these guidelines.
right,
But the Office of Community Renewal in New York State just went through them with Toma Development Consultants and just provided some edits and suggestions, just sort of freshening them up, because the 95% of the guidelines are the same, there's
Same.
just some just a few edits. In terms of your question, Leslie, about, or you're right about maybe the town should name applicants. I don't think it needs to state that in here. I wouldn't,
Yeah.
I went through it, I'm not sure where it would even go.
Mhm.
But I think if that's the town's desire, because I know that was how it was in the last couple of rounds.
Yeah.
Just when it comes time that the applications are then being submitted, when they're put in the agenda for approval, we always just redact the names.
yeah,
We usually put the address, but not the name.
yeah,
Right,
okay,
so that was simple.
Mhm. And if people self-identify as they have with like for instance, the email,
yeah,
where somebody's thanking us for their help, they sort of self-identify as recipients, but
Yeah.
that's okay,
Yeah.
We just didn't want to, expose people to that when they might rather not.
yeah,
So all that I'm just asking for here, I didn't write any resolution up, but just.
Yeah, no, right.
Just accepting these guidelines.
Yeah.
For the new 2025 CDBG homeowner housing rehabilitation program.
I move that.
I'll second.
Right, which was approval of the guidelines for the 2025 CDBG.
This is for 2025?
Yes, the 2025 grant.
Oh, the grant, you're right.
Yeah.
It's always a year. I know.
Yeah, it's what we're just about to do, but the money was
Yeah,
awarded last year.
yeah.
So any? No. Okay,
All right then. Connors.
Yes.
Dylan.
Yes.
Bruce.
Yes.
Gagnon.
yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Oh, community forums. That ID down, what was that about?
What?
Identify. That was something else that we're gonna do then?
Was another
Item,
topic we were gonna add.
that's what I'm wondering.
The topics we were gonna add in, I think it was just the TG Miller approval. Was
Yeah, I
probably-
got that.
Is there another topic?
That's what I'm wondering. If nobody else has anything, then I'm not sure what that ID meant.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Was ID potentially referring to the identity of people who are receiving this?
yes,
Yes.
Wow.
that's what,
I
Fine
wrote
reading
saying
is part of
I
the
just wrote
clerk
ID,
job.
and I was like,
Yeah.
what's that?
yes,
Yeah, you're like, what I mean by that?
yes. It was a question of whether we add it or not, and we dealt with it. Okay, all right. You're right.
Thank you.
Community forums. Mark's idea is gonna pitch it.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that we can host a gathering here for community members. Town board members are invited to participate, but not like required to. It's not a town board meeting. And that was sort of important, I think, to make sure to put it in the resolution that it's not an official town board. We're not an official meeting. We're not making decisions. It will be posted to the public ahead of time. It will be available in person and on Zoom, but at least in person. So it'll meet those qualifications as far as being open and available and transparent, but we're not making decisions. And Blake was the one who initially proposed that because what we're doing in a forum is substantially different from privilege of the floor, which is like one person has the right to speak at a board meeting for 3 minutes.
That's right.
But this is really different than that. This will involve members, residents speaking to each other sometimes, and that might inherently require a moderator or facilitator to like step in and say, okay, you know, we've exhausted that point, or that was a little rude. And that kind of interaction is markedly different than how the supervisor runs privilege of the floor, for example. So Blake was the one who raised the fact that we should really adopt a set of rules that govern when a facilitator can ask someone to please stop talking about a topic or something. Hopefully that never happens, but if it does, the facilitator moderator should be able to point to the board adopted these rules and we're going to follow them.
We have it.
That was the idea behind
Right,
it.
yeah.
Um,
Do you want to share that?
yeah, I'm actually not logged into Zoom. So
Oh, you're not?
can someone who is, yeah, can you?
Oh, I can.
I mean, I sort of
Right, I've already co-host.
of thought about this, it's sort of similar to what Greg was doing. Once a month,
Right.
Yes.
sometimes,
At
often, with a topic, subject.
Yeah.
So that people who are interested in a subject could come and chat.
Yeah, and I think it is along the same lines of just having
Yeah.
another point of engagement
Yeah.
with the community. Maybe because it's in the town hall, it might feel a little more official, so maybe it needs a little more of these guidelines.
more structure.
Probably wouldn't have thought of this if Blake hadn't raised it, like
Yeah.
I would have thought we could just,
Do it.
do it and muddle through, but I think all these rules are good, and
Yeah.
so if
And I mean,
this helps everybody feel more
and maybe
comfortable.
it doesn't even have to be in town, huh? I mean, it could
No,
also
it-
be outside or.
Could be.
Can you make it bigger? I don't know how to do that. There you go. It wasn't clear looking at this, who's moderating? Who's calling it? Is it something we, the board, are doing? Or is it something that, Mark Cruz is organizing or what?
I think I also was wondering that because initially when Blake raised this, I thought, oh, maybe can I just do it as a resident and then we don't have to make it so official? But I think the fact that I am organizing it and I'm bringing up the topic at the town board, even if we tried to keep it as informal as possible, there's at least the appearance that it's somehow related to what the town board is doing. So having some rules. To the actual question of who's calling these, my preference is to keep it as informal as possible. So like we don't have to declare every date by resolution of in a meeting or something. I would like to keep it as informal as possible, while sort of following all the laws that we have to.
Yes, but I mean, but somebody needs to be in charge of doing it,
Right, and so far Greg and I have talked about sort of co-leading it together. He might actually miss the first one, because he'll be on leave. And I'm comfortable with that. Taking on that role, and if after a few months I want to ask if someone else is willing to help share it, then I will, but I brought up the idea, so I'll get it started. Similar with the role of moderator, I'm comfortable doing it, or at least trying it the first couple times, and I think it would be great to share that as we move along, whether it's one of us here or a resident who offers and seems like they, can handle sort of whatever that skill set is of keeping the conversation flowing. I think sharing that spotlight would be a good idea after the sort of rhythm gets established.
My thought on seeing this was that this kind of conversation about, where are we, where would we like to go as a town, is part of what we do when we update the comprehensive
Oh,
plan.
yeah.
I thought of that too.
Yeah.
And we're kind of heading towards needing to update the comprehensive plan. So I did think maybe this will lead into that or give us some ideas that can
You
see
might get more
that
people
process.
engaged in just discussing, and then maybe more people would be involved in the
Yeah.
revisions. Yeah.
So you sent out a sign up for the board members, and I think I was early adopter, so how did that go?
You were actually the only person who
Oh,
gave the
okay.
response. So I have a few dates, if we wanna, try to pick one or pick it afterwards. I'd love to pick a date in July, and then just to sort of be able to put out a save the date
Mhm.
email newsletter, get it into the July newsletter. Put it up on the website and wherever else. There were 4 dates that seemed like they were the best, at least for you and I who responded. Do you want to talk about dates now, or do we want to keep talking about the guidelines for participation? And
Forgetting
then
to bring my calendar.
Hmm?
Keep forgetting to bring my calendar. Which is
Have a
kind of nice,
picture.
we're gonna talk dates,
Yeah.
Good,
There's a request to comment online from Ted Crane.
oh. Yes. Want to come?
your show.
Okay, what you got, Ted?
Sure, you haven't yet, maybe you're headed there, Mark, but you haven't yet addressed my concern that this clearly is intended to talk about town business. And if 3 or more, a quorum or more of the town board attends, then it is a town board meeting. And you have to follow open meetings law. I'm not trying to stop you. I think this is a great idea, but I think you have to be aware that if you have three of you in the room, you've got to do minutes, and in this case, the minutes would, since there will be no action taking, the minutes would have to be considerably more detailed because you'd have to summarize what people said. That was the whole point of the meeting.
We didn't do that. with the minutes.
I disagree with you about that, but we can run this question by our lawyer and
Yeah.
say, how do we meet the letter of the law and keep this as informal as possible?
Yeah.
My intention is not to have somebody sitting there writing down everybody's comment. I
Yeah.
want a more casual, like it'll be structured, but I want it to be more casual. I also am going to suggest that even if we have Zoom, we do not record it. And I had a half-written email to you, Ted, to ask that you be okay with not recording them, because I think that
Yeah.
people will be more comfortable if they don't think,
Right.
what if I say
Yeah.
something and someone else picks up a clip of it later? So as far as meeting the open meetings law, I can volunteer to write an email to Guy and say, this is what we want to do. Do you see any problem with it? And if you do, can you sort of suggest how we meet the letter of the law without doing any more than we
I would
need?
suggest it would be more effective to write that letter and ask that question of the Committee for Open Government. If they say that it's no problem, that's that. If they point out problems, then you have to figure out how to resolve it. They're the authority, not your lawyer.
Well, even on that point, the lawyers quibble. Because after all, the Committee on Open Government offers opinions,
That's right.
but they're not.
They have no enforcement is what you're saying.
Yes,
Yeah,
and some lawyers, including ours, sometimes disagree with their interpretation of the law as written. And Guy has in the past disagreed on some of these points. And I will say that, somewhat to my surprise, but I shouldn't be surprised, Guy's interpretation has emerged ever more prominently as being sustainable. Which is what, you brought, when you came to the board and say, hey, how can't we have these conversations by email? Which early on, we got clear guidance from the Committee on Open Government, we could not do. That changed, and it's a pretty significant change.
I would say they're coming from a different place than Guy is. He's trying to protect you,
Yes.
they're trying to protect the public.
Okay, I mean, I hear you, your point's received. I think we
Good.
can maybe end that comment. And if the concern is transparency, everybody's welcome. The date's posted ahead of time. Anybody can
Yeah.
come in. So I don't really see how there would be a valid complaint about transparency if literally anyone can walk in and participate. But we will check in with our lawyer to make sure that we are protected and not doing anything that violates the law.
Was there ever an issue when you were doing those once a month? I mean, and there were all sorts of people there.
Sometimes we probably had a board majority there. Sometimes we probably had a board majority in attendance, but
Yeah,
mostly not, though.
right. But it was, you know, a conversation. It
Yeah,
wasn't,
right. Just because three of us show up at a bar and start talking about,
It was, I mean.
What bar are you going to?
That
Is that a meeting?
Different if, in that I was being invited by a business owner to just come and,
Oh, okay, that's
you know,
true.
just be.
how was the conversation?
Be there and have a conversation, so I don't know if there ever were. I did it 5 or 6 times, I don't know if there ever were a majority of town board members at those meetings, I don't think there were, but. Even if there were, I wouldn't have been that worried about it because it was a private business. He advertised
Oh, well, that might be,
but versus advertising it here at the town,
right,
you know, it would be a little bit different.
yeah,
I mean, the point of those laws is that the public has a right to hear when the town board is working towards, you know, a new law, drafting a law, passing a law. We can't do it in secret. This is
And there has to
obviously
be a
not
record
that.
of that meeting.
Well,
Yeah.
If they were doing it, there has to be a
Yeah,
record.
we'll figure
This
it-
is
we'll figure
obviously
it out.
not that.
yeah.
To sort of refocus on what we do want to do, does anyone have any comments about these guidelines? As they are, is anything missing? Whether it's in the sort of 1 through 5 or the other sections?
Right. I
What-
thought they were pretty
Yeah,
good framework for conversation. It addresses the hangups that have derailed conversations in the past and the inadequacy of privilege of the floor as a mechanism.
Yeah.
Because it's intended as an opportunity for us to listen to what public have to say and not for back and forth.
Yeah.
That's what's missing and frustrating for people when they come and they want to have,
yeah,
they ask questions and they expect to get answers and it's not the place for them.
Yeah.
So I commend the effort to create a framework and to conduct the process.
was this Blake who did this?
I drafted it and then we
And he-
made some edits. Back and forth.
Thanks.
It was pulled from other similar existing documents that other
Yeah.
either nonprofits or
Right.
governments have put together to host those kinds of things.
Right.
I've gone through this before in other groups.
Yeah.
So what action ought we to take as a board with respect to this?
When Blake and I talked about it, we talked about it as though the board would just pass a resolution adopting these guidelines for participation for the community forum. I wasn't actually sure though. I asked him, I'm like, what format does it take for us to adopt these so that they're there as a thing
Yeah.
for us to reference?
Well, I move that we adopt them as a guideline for conducting these forums and that we endorse the idea of the sponsor. In fact, sponsor these community forums as a mechanism to provide additional opportunity for people to comment and contribute to the decision-making process without making decisions.
I'll second that.
Breaks writing frantically. That, any more discussion about it?
Connors.
Yes.
Dylan.
Yes.
Bruce.
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you want to talk about dates or should we do that later if you don't have your?
I think
I could probably guess, but you know,
I can send an email with these dates after and
That'd
once
be
it's
great.
settled, we can
yeah,
send it out.
okay.
What's the deadline for the July newsletter? That's what's on my mind.
Will probably tends to fall on the 3rd Wednesday of the month,
We have a couple.
so 17.
Okay, we'll definitely nail it down before then.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
FOIL policy updates. On this matter, Lake is the driving force, I guess I would say, for why we're dealing with it at all. And has some suggestions for updating a policy, which is fairly dated.
Which is fairly what?
Dated.
Oh, gee, do you think?
It's older than me.
Wow, that's not hard.
This is true. It's a low bar, right?
I know you just had another birthday. I need more time. I read through some of it, but I didn't finish.
I did too, and similar, I didn't, but I thought that we might wanna work it over. One, either by making our comments collectively in between, and then bringing a finished product back, or creating a committee to bring a finished product back for us to consider formally, even if it's a committee of one or two, including Blake.
Put it up, so they can see or.
We certainly wouldn't hurt you for those who, it's linked to the agenda for anybody who wanted to pull it up, but
It's a lot of pages.
Yeah,
it is,
that's why I didn't finish it.
yeah, right.
Got almost done.
Right, and it's not, well, there's a bunch of places in it where you might take some of the stuff out, because
Yeah.
there's redundancies.
Yeah,
And there's also choices to be made by, well, we could do it this way, or we could do it this
Right.
way, but you gotta make a choice which way you're gonna do.
right,
Could you add page numbers, please?
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And it, a date
But it,
somewhere, either at the very top or at the very bottom.
Oh, right, the version date.
Well, they're just, yeah,
Right.
if there's just a date on it. And
Well, it's
then
got
the
an
next-
adopted blah, blah, blank, at the top,
Yeah, but we're not adopting it, so that date is not gonna be put in there until we're all
until we're
done.
actually done with it.
So, I mean,
You want to draft it?
Could
You want to
this
draft,
could be Town of Danby FOIL policy draft and then the date,
yes,
Yeah,
like today's date.
right,
yeah,
And then the next draft will have a different date on it.
yeah,
I like that.
I have to write the date on everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
that's probably the easier way, as opposed to saying, this is draft number 2 or draft
No.
number 3, because if we lose track
Yeah,
of where
we
you are,
say draft number 2 of 5.
Yeah.
Draft, you know, you
Yes.
can't do that.
Yeah. we can, but.
No, you can't,
But it's
because
messy,
you don't know what that
yeah,
last number
but just
is.
having a date on it, you can just look and see what's the most recent date.
So we're bringing this back.
Yes, and how are we going to bring it back? That's the question. And it might be worthwhile spending some time on the questions that are embedded in it that need to be decided
Yeah.
about the policy. And the one that drove it really was the question of the record access, not the appeals
Yeah, the appeals process,
first
yeah,
process in person. Who's doing it?
right.
And I gather the existing policy names the town board as
Yeah.
the appeal body or person.
Right.
it doesn't actually have any mention of.
It says the board, town board is the appeals. I could have brought it with me, unless you're missing it. It says the town board, I found it.
When is that one from?
I don't remember the
The one
date.
that I had filed in 2001 does not contain.
2001, it was after that.
2001 one is the one that has been affirmed at every board meeting, at every board.
Well,
meeting resolution, so.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'll let
Maybe
you
an
know.
update got
Yeah.
lost.
Complication.
Yeah.
Which raises no question about quantification, but that's, we need to come back to that. Because if we were codified, then you wouldn't have these issues of, updates getting lost or,
You think so?
well, so assuming you keep up with it, you should do it.
Yeah, well, this is an example.
Where did you
Yeah.
find this version? You know what the date of this version is?
This.
No, this is a new one.
This is just one that
Yeah.
is based on the model regulations from the Committee on Open Government.
Yeah, yeah.
I changed, some of the things to say town of Danby.
Yeah.
But
Sort of follows their
Okay.
outline.
Yes.
Yeah, but basically, yeah, the template is a
Right.
committee.
I'm
on
just
open
thinking
government.
in the general code software 360 or whatever it is, I think we have this policy.
Well, there was a
You mean
one version.
You mean a model one as opposed to our existing one?
What is our existing one?
Yeah.
I'm sure general code told us to fix it. but-
Yes, right.
It may be a one, the earlier one was like 97 or something. That's probably what it was.
The one that is filed within the clerk's office from 2001, February 20th, 2001.
That might, yeah,
is the one that I am familiar with.
okay. That might, there was one, there were two, and one might have been like 97.
Yeah, there's also.
Yeah.
Okay,
Very
Cool, yeah,
all right. So maybe on the same page after all.
yeah, probably, yeah.
So, in crafting the document to come back, we can address that question because, and I had a conversation with Blake about this afternoon. His preference would be to have an attorney be the person, the appeal bought person or, and then what we talk is perhaps of some sort of hybrid where the attorney in cooperation with, in meeting with the board, could be the appeal, so that you had that both components, you had the, well, it's a lot of money to involve the attorney at all.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I
Yeah.
mean,
But,
Well, how many times has it happened in the last 2 or 3 decades? It sounds like this has not come up
once,
so
Wow,
hopefully.
and you
maybe
know,
just the beginning.
and checking around, like ask what, whatever the towns do. Some of them they've never had an appeal, so that they said,
Yeah,
And we can also
Special.
see what general code has already told us. I mean, they looked at all our current laws and had comments and questions. So I can look at that and forward you that.
but the most recent one had the town board as being. the
well, whether it
appeal-
did or didn't, we could make, the board
appeals.
could be that group
Well,
or that person, in a legal sense. Or we could create a committee to do it. The committee could even be the board. But if it weren't the board, then its determination wouldn't necessarily be a board meeting, because this is not really making decisions for the town. Just deciding what's foilable and what isn't.
right,
Well, in doing it, having the board be the appeals person I wasn't at that meeting, but felt almost circular in terms of,
Yeah.
we have to decide in an open meeting what is allowed to be, so to me,
Yeah,
that
yes,
seems
yes.
like the
With
least good
help.
option.
I mean, it'd be nice to have a body that's a little removed from, I mean, appeal, it depends on what the appeal is about, but having the town board deciding about, giving up documents from them, I mean, it might be nice to have somebody who's a little removed from the whole thing, but we'll have to think about it.
Then you're talking about having a group that's not the town board,
It
not.
have to be a group.
No, it could be a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so who would that person be? It could be, well, somebody with some expertise is good, which is what points to a lawyer, but
It needs to be
somebody with some
somebody-
familiarity of what's going on in the town too, so that they can take it into consideration, sort of things, and say, well, this could be, is that what we dealt with last time? There's a body of things that have to be revealed, and that's straightforward, because Blake just does it. There are things that could be withheld, they don't have to be. And that's where the discretion comes in, is there a good reason not to withhold it? Because it isn't a policy, they're saying, the presumption is that you will reveal unless you've got some compelling reason not to.
Right.
So and our policy is that we want to, we choose to be as open as is reasonable.
Yeah, I don't know if that's such a good, I mean, I feel like maybe I would have thought a little differently. We just need somebody who can follow the guidelines.
If I may, give a little more context and reasoning for some of this. In the letter of the FOIL law, one of the primary things that are not to say categorically exempt, there are exemptions to exemptions, but intra-agency materials are protected in so much as they have deliberative content. Opinions are protected, recommendations are protected, you know, when any one thing falls into any of those categories can be a little weird, but the phrasing in the FOIL state, at the state level law, says that things that do not constitute, you know, factual status, factual tabulation, statistics, or data. Trying to get the ball off the top of my head, or, facts, audits, final policy or determination. There's another.
It's like
one.
direction to staff.
Direction just
or
has to
something.
affect the public, yes. I think there might be a fifth one, but that might be it. Either way, things that do not fall into those categories, and the open government and the law and courts have ruled that those exemptions should be viewed as broadly as possible. So, like something that is not fact doesn't necessarily mean numbers. It's not saying, you know, an email that says 30% of Danby says this. It doesn't necessarily just mean numbers. These things that are objective in some way, and are not a subjective interpretation, which is something that I take into consideration when reviewing FOIL materials. In so much as those things are statutorily exempt, except for those exceptions, that is under state law.
Right. Yep.
While the town is more than welcome to go above and beyond and ensure that, you know, even things that would otherwise be exempt are included, that is not necessarily, I don't want to say bad, because it's not a bad thing, but it's a double-edged sword, because on one hand, it's transparency, which is always a good thing. But on the other hand, it can set precedent.
Right.
So there are cases where,
Right.
you know, precedent is set in one instance, and then someone else says, you know, well, why did you do it for them, but not for me, you
Right.
discriminated.
Mhm.
That is something that has played out
Yeah.
before, and.
Yep.
Precedent can be a dangerous thing. I don't necessarily agree that any one instance can set precedent, but,
Yep.
in so much as the letter of the law allows us to withhold these things.
Right.
I don't necessarily see a reason to go against that, and I'm not sure, so that's part of the reason why, I think that an attorney would be a really good, appeal officer, because they understand that a lot better than I do. They would be the ones who, if I erroneously withheld something, they would be the one to say, oh, no, release that. Because again, I'm not perfect. I make judgments based on what I know, and while I think fairly educated on the subject, I don't necessarily make all the right choices all the time, because I just don't know everything. I'm not a lawyer. I have not spent, you know, decades of my life. I've lived 2 decades of my life, and neither have been reading case law. So the majority of things that I know, compared to someone like Guy or another attorney, and the Committee on Open Government unfortunately does not count. That is a wealth of knowledge that I simply don't have access to. And I definitely think there's absolutely merits to the board being the appeals officer, in so much as, you know, you have the context of what the situation is. You know, okay, this conversation is not relevant, but and can be included, or isn't relevant and should be withheld, or, you know, you have more context as to the situation. But sometimes these kinds of deliberations require an objective look. And someone, and not to, you know, diss on any of y'all, but none of you guys have the same legal expertise that an attorney would have. And it would be kind of ridiculous to expect you to have that expertise, in so much as whether or not you'd be good arbitrators of the, you know, appeals. I don't disagree on the merits of the board would know how best to represent the town in a sense, but it isn't necessarily about representing the town, it's about following them. And so I do think that there's arguments to be made in both situations, which is why I think a good compromise might be to invite the lawyer to join in, possibly I don't know what all would constitute, I'm happy to reach out to the open government, committee on open government, or Guy, about any or all of this, and probably will, because it is a really weird area trying to balance transparency and also not have to worry about setting precedent, because that's the kind of thing that can really screw you up, even if you mean well. I mean, think about how many times in the past, year, we've all been trying to do something nice and accidentally set a precedent, and now suddenly everyone's trying to expect something. It's like, no, I did this as like a one-time courtesy, oh gosh. That's kind of how I got stuck in the correspondence loop. But
Mhm.
I'm not necessarily complaining about that because I think it is good overall. It's just, I bit off way more than I could chew at first. Yeah,
It seems to me that the legal advice is wanted if there's a question about whether or not, if it's a question of interpretation of the law. Basically, are we required to release this or not? And early on in the FOIL process, when it became a thing, 20 some odd years ago, and I was around when that was happening, we used the lawyer a lot. Because it was a question, does it or doesn't it fit? But once you got, so if the question is, should this be released? Then you need a legal opinion on the matter, and we're not lawyers. So I mean, having an appeal officer make that decision is not the right venue. The place for the appeal officer is if, the determination already made, this is something that could be released, but it needn't be released. And then there's the question of, do we or do we not want to release it? It's only those things that are in that middle category, if you will, that we're really concerned about. And then who or what group is best positioned to make that determination for the town? Because that's what we're essentially doing. We're saying, okay, here's, they asked for this. It's in the category of we could, but we don't have to. Do we or don't we? And that's what we did as the group. And it seems to me that that's as much as anything a political decision as it is a legal decision, because the legal decision has already been made. If you have to release it, you don't have to release it. You could, but you don't have to. It's that group that we decide, we got no problem with this. Let's go ahead and share it. Or no, but that's, I think we're in a better position to make that determination than much of anybody else.
I definitely don't disagree with that. I think that is a really, really excellent point. When you divide into 3 categories, that really clarifies a lot of the perspective. That middle category, though, that's the hard part.
Indeed.
Is determining those kinds of things. And I said as much earlier, but there is not really clear guidance as far as I am aware. Again, I haven't been doing this terribly long, so I don't know. But when do we get the lawyers involved? When do we get that, $340, excuse me, dollar an hour person involved in making those middle category decisions?
That is a determination that is the records management officer, your position to have to make. And we, the board, looking on, can only say, you're making an awful lot of use of the lawyer, or maybe you should have asked. And I get this, I'm second guessing all the time when I use the lawyer. Because we're aware of the expense, but we're also aware of the need, and in trying to strike a balance between, well, do I have enough information to make the decision myself, or do I really need to talk to the lawyer? It's a judgment call.
I kind of feel like an argument could be made that we live in a litigious society and this situation hasn't come up that often. A lawyer in this appeals, what's the process, appeals officer, whatever it is, in
Yeah.
that role might be the best person to protect the town's interest because they are best in a position to determine what we might get in trouble for releasing or not releasing. So like one way to think about it is if we're already in a position where our initial FOIL release is being questioned, that might raise the stakes of whether there is going to be a lawsuit about whether something was withheld improperly or something like that.
Mhm.
They would probably be spending money on a lawyer to be in that position and do that review might best protect the town's interests because they'll make the decisions that will be most defensible in court if it proceeds to court after that. So I'm a little bit playing devil's advocate, but I am making an argument for why it would be the cleanest and most protected of the town's resources to spend the money on a lawyer and have them be that appeals officer. Because we already went through the first layer, which is having the clerk do it, having the clerk be the FOIL officer.
I mean, that's certainly the argument the guy was in.
Yeah.
You know, it's always like, why didn't you talk to me before?
Right.
I mean, I would, I wouldn't necessarily, I wouldn't disagree with what you're saying. I mean, the experience of playing appeals officer for me for the first time was, okay, the first gate to get through is the clerk
Mhm.
who determines following, pretty clear guidelines anyway, determines what things need to be given up and what things don't. What's foilable and what is not. And then for me, the appeals was, did the clerk do a good job? Or not? And I sort of, that's where I feel like maybe I would have done things differently if we did it again. But, did the clerk follow the guidelines as far as what should be, what needs to be put forth and what does not need to be? I don't feel like you need a lawyer to do that, although, protection is often good, different situations.
Yeah.
But, to me, that was what my experience was. Did the clerk do a good job? And,
Well, in a sense, the appeal is asserting that the clerk did not.
right,
Yeah.
and I'm, the appeals is either backing up what the first decision was or not.
Right, and that's what Mark's argument would be that, a lawyer is in the best position to make that determination.
Right. Did the town or the clerk, violate the law when they withheld this or when they released this? So when you put it in that way, it is a legal question. It's not just like you were describing it as a subjective question. Should we release it or should we not for these middle things? But you could also probably state it in a legal way, which is, did the clerk accidentally violate the law by withholding this? In that case, that appeals person should be the one who can make that call. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
feel that strongly about it. I'm just more trying to
Yes.
pose the argument.
Well, I mean, what says that we're viewing the world then in a binary way. We're saying that either it has to be released or it shouldn't be released. And if there is no middle. And then if that's the case, if someone's saying, well, you didn't give me, items 4, 5, and 6 on my list of 6, and I'm appealing, the appeal in effect is asserting that those things should have been released.
Yeah.
That they belong in the category of foilable stuff and not the, stuff that should be retained. And, if that's the question, then the best person to answer is somebody who can interpret the law and say, well, yeah, it's on this side, not that side.
Yeah.
And then you're in good standing if they follow up with an Article 78, your lawyer's the one who made the determination for you and in the position to defend the decision as being consistent with the law.
Yeah.
If the lawyer is involved, though, in the first place, where there's question about whether or not it's something that belongs in A or B, then they've already had that. They've already made that determination, essentially. And we're only looking at the things that could be, but needn't be.
I think there's a lot of gray area. I think it's not all just black and white.
No, by no means is it black and white. It's the whole point of the
Right.
appeal process. So what is the best way of dealing with the gray?
Having a lawyer.
It's gonna happen once every 30 years. Let's just have a look. I mean, if it changes, then
I
we.
mean, is the gray area the stuff that doesn't need to be released, but could be released? Is
I think
that
that's what
true?
Joel said.
I
That's what
mean,
I'm saying.
I mean.
Well, see, the thing is,
Is that in here anywhere?
no, not really.
I mean, that's where I feel like as an appeals committee, or whatever you want to call it, I feel like we maybe, well, because it's the first time we did it, I felt like we shouldn't have gone there. I feel like we should have determined that the stuff that was withheld was, I thought pretty clearly, stuff that could be, that didn't need to be released.
Yeah,
And a lawyer's gonna decide, well, it didn't need to be released, but the board or the highway or whatever, they don't, it's okay, we can release that. I mean,
well, and that's,
Probably not what a lawyer would say.
well, that's the problem. And I think that's the reason not to have the lawyer, which is that the lawyer is apt to say, if it can be, it should be
right,
withheld.
Withheld,
Right,
yeah,
yeah,
they
yeah.
probably would be,
Yeah.
and that's probably the most legally defensible position for the town.
yeah,
That might not be the thing to do if you are trying to prioritize transparency over legal risk, but
yeah,
Exactly. Like,
well, I don't know, maybe we should finish reading this and,
like, go ahead.
Yes, yes to all the points that I made. This is exactly how I want to spell my birthday argument.
yeah, well, you brought it up.
I do actually do.
Yeah,
But, I see the points of, like that middle ground, and definitely to your point about, the independence of an appeals officer, if they already are consulted for the purposes of like, if I were to reach out and say, hey, is this stuff withholdable, or what do I do, can you make redaction, yeah. If I were to do that, then Guy could not be, the appeals officer, because the appeals officer has to be totally independent from any of my my original determinations.
Yeah, because otherwise you're passing judgment on your own judgment.
But in so much as, there are instances where I may incorrectly release something, at which point, we get the old flag on finger from Guy or whatever. But, then it's out there in the first place. And, the counter to that is if I do incorrectly withhold something, because, the interpretation of a lot of those, exempt clauses is really, really. It's,
Gray.
yeah, it can, FOIL is to be like interpreted in broadest sense, but if I go outside and say, the sky is cerulean, and someone says, the sky is azure,
Mm-hmm.
both of those are shades of blue. Both of those are kind of right. Those are both kind of objective facts, but, and that's a really watered down, oiled down kind of way of explaining it, but is that subjective? Is that objective? And those sorts of things, I would feel more comfortable with a lawyer determining. We're not talking about the color of the sky. These are like policy making decisions. And if I made an error in my judgment, I would want a lawyer to correct that. Partially because then the town is, again, like Mark said, in the most defensible position, but also because then I learn the next time. In bringing in that counsel at that point, it allows for me not only to learn best practices and, get another perspective on what's going on. It also allows for, that defensible position of, we are sure that we are following the law.
But what is at that point? Because at that point really should be while you're making a determination of what to release. If there's question in your mind where you can't reasonably discern, I should or I shouldn't, that's when you ask the lawyer, should I or shouldn't I? And you get the lawyer's advice.
Yeah.
And that's the way we did it from in the beginning, when we're trying to figure out, what to keep, what to let go. And then you make a determination. But if the stuff that's clear, the stuff that's unclear, it's the unclear where if it's unclear to the point where you can't reasonably say, I'm reasonably comfortable saying this is or it isn't, that's when you ask Guy about it. And that's when the lawyerly advice is what's warranted, is it consistent with the law or not. And then once you've done that, if somebody appeals the stuff that you didn't release, they're basically questioning then the lawyer's judgment already. And it's going to have to be another lawyer if you're going to go to a lawyer for interpretation.
But if it's at that point already where, like you say, if they're already kind of questioning the lawyer's judgment, appealing to you guys wouldn't necessarily know whether the lawyer even made the right judgment. You're gonna assume that they did because they're a lawyer, but I kind of put the lawyers at like the topmost authority when it comes to the legal matters, which, yeah.
That's what we pay them for.
Yeah, exactly, we pay it for that. So putting the board above that, in a sense, feels not necessarily redundant, but it does feel a little counterintuitive. I do agree about the point of, when I have those questions, do I, or yeah, I should go to the lawyer. The only thing is, that can add up.
Well, it can, and again, that middle category, the lawyer may say, you could, but you don't have to. And that's the province of our concern for the appeal group. If it's you have to, no question. I mean, if that's the determination from the lawyers, you really need to release this. Then you don't, then they've got an issue. But then it's the question for a lawyer then when in the appeal. But if it falls in the category of, well, you could, but you don't have to. And you make a determination, you decide not to, and it gets appealed, then that's what the appeal officer is about, I think.
I'm not gonna follow up on that point exactly, but I feel like we're starting to get a little bit circular.
Yeah.
Could we, are we intending to maybe form an ad hoc committee to review this FOIL policy, in which case that committee can come up with a suggestion to bring back to the board as far as who should be the appeals officer and whatever else. What?
That was the question I asked.
Yeah.
And it might be a better way of dealing with it than, and then it became the question of, should we be providing some guidance to the committee regarding what we want in there? As opposed to punting on it, which is kind of what he's suggesting now.
Well, we've raised a bunch of ideas. I don't know that we're not gonna find a resolution, so I feel like we can also let the ideas
Percolate a little bit.
percolate and
That's what I'd like to
revisit
do.
in a
I want to
committee.
finish.
Yeah.
A committee or another meeting. Do you want to do it as a committee or come back to it? in this?
I mean, I think maybe we should come back, and if we're still going in circles, some.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we could also have a little bit of an offline, out of meeting email, bouncing ideas out of each other and see if we can't come back with a little bit more clarity and maybe gel around something.
I would also note at this point that Guy has not been asked any of this.
Yes.
I brought this before the board.
Yeah.
Because I had drafted an email to
Yep.
Guy, I have some questions that are Guy questions noted in here. I was like, let me just give it to the board first, see if
Yeah.
there's any determination.
Yeah, we might ask Guy to weigh in on it,
Yeah.
what he feels about it.
Totally.
Weigh in first and see what he has to say.
Mhm.
Uh,
That's a very reasonable suggestion.
Get the attorney involved to talk about whether the attorney
Should be involved, yes.
You want to take bets on the answer?
unless there's requested comment from Ted Crane, sorry.
No,
If we didn't think it was complicated enough, all we'd have to do is ask Guy's opinion.
Yeah, yeah, let's bring it back
Yeah, okay.
and maybe go back and forth with it.
Okay, now, special event law.
Can we, I know it's late, but I know that the special event law is gonna go long, and I just wanna do this TG Miller thing.
We can do that.
Can I?
You can do that now if you
can I
want.
slip that in?
Sure.
That's fine.
Thank you.
So. TJ would like more money, about $3,000 more.
Yeah.
Are we okay with that?
Oh, I know how to do this. I move that we approve their request for additional $3,000 for design changes.
That would be the way to do it. I'll second it. Now we can talk about it.
Where would that come from?
Where did it come from?
Where is
Where
it
would that come
money?
from?
Ah, yes, there's that too. Ed's here.
We do have that much money available now in our contingency account because we moved our sidewalk study money to the engineering line. So that money is available there.
We can move from contingency to engineering to.
Yes, again,
Mhm,
and that would be a budget resolution.
yeah. What do you think?
I think we should do it. I think we can probably also maybe debrief about how we ended up going over budget, because I have thoughts about it.
Yeah,
But
okay.
those thoughts don't really change the fact that I think we should authorize the funding because we need to do this project.
I think
So-
when we started down this road, we had no idea it was gonna cost this much money, but it's kind of upping almost
They
twice. what we
did,
thought.
originally, I think, quoted us, I think it's 16,000, and then Zach and I stepped up to oversee the project, which we do absolutely intend on doing. Although TG Miller is making it very easy for us to do that.
Mhm. Well, yeah, that would, if you got good engineering plans.
Right.
That's the basis for it.
But also the contract documents to go out to bid.
Yeah, right. So. I'm always impressed at how expensive everything is, but. Everything's expensive. In the, you just got the bill from Brian Lamort for the installing this, and it's $3,800. How much is they suppose it's gonna take to move it from there to there?
I'll talk about it.
Well, so on that note, we discussed this with Jim Holohan, Zach and I, and we have a little plan to put the 2 chargers in the back. And because it's expensive to move that one that was installed, we thought maybe if we just have it there for handicap accessible people and have 2 chargers in the back.
Just leave it there.
Just leave it there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's free. I mean, I know we have to pay Lamort for installing it, but
Sure.
just to have and then 2 chargers would be in the back.
It means there would be very limited use of that one, because I mean, we don't get that many handicapped people parking, but it would be limited to handicapped people with electric cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So these are the 2 new spots out there for the in the back.
Are we assessing this right now?
No,
I'm like
sorry.
confused about what we're doing right now. Right now, we were just gonna try to approve the money, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Well, the reason this is relevant to the motion is because it had to do with whether it was 1 parking space or 2 here,
yeah.
and whether we're gonna move the charging station to the other location. In the last committee meeting, we decided to go that making 2 parking spaces, which would require another about 3 feet. There was not something that group wanted to do, would rather move the charger to the.
Oh, yeah, I remember, I was there.
Yeah, so what Mariah is suggesting now that we leave the charger there and only have one space, so that instead of being shared, it becomes a dedicated handicap charging station.
Yeah.
And we can do that and see how often it is that both chargers in the back are even used at the same time. And if they're rarely both used at the same time, then it doesn't really make any sense to spend money to move the third one back there.
Exactly, that was the thought, is to see
Yeah.
how it goes for 6 months or a year, see how it goes. If people are fighting over the EV chargers, then we can regroup.
We can revisit it. I'm okay with that.
Well, the only reason except that it would be if it's gonna ever get moved down there, the cheapest time to do it would be in conjunction with installation of the other charger, gonna get one trench, one conduit, one set of wires, which could be upgraded if they needed to be. That would be far and away the cheapest way to move it. But if it's gonna stay here, then it doesn't matter. I think we could as easily consider expanding taking out some of the planter and making room for the
Doing
second
that
space
later?
later on. It becomes an issue with the
Right, yeah.
use of the other
I
two.
mean, how many, the town hall having 3 EV chargers is pretty extravagant, I think.
Well, at the
I
moment,
mean-
it is, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's only because there's been all this foot dragging on the part of the state and federal government for installing charging stations so that people feel comfortable buying electric cars because they have someplace to charge them.
Yeah. Well,
But the other thing is that these are all level 2 chargers. So I mean, anybody traveling who needs to charge up their car is not gonna do it at a level 2 charge. They're gonna have to spend, 6 hours waiting for their car
I
to
thought it was
charge up.
2 hours.
Oh, 2 hours. But anyway, that's not exactly a lunch stop. It's so, they will mostly be useful for people who are visiting the park, going to spend some time, coming to a town board meeting or something and
There's that.
yeah, or staff, right?
Okay.
So I think in light of all that, I'm willing to support the motion. Ready to vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Connors,
I'm gonna abstain.
Dylan,
Yes,
Bruce,
Yes.
Ganny,
Yes.
thank you.
Not to derail further, but the observation that I have about how we ended up here is that we had a building meeting that was open to the public. A resident joined who made some suggestions that ended up really sending the engineers on this tangent. And all I want to say is the committee never really decided, yes, we want the engineers to work on that.
Right.
And I think that's an internal process thing that we could get better at. Open to the public doesn't necessarily mean non-committee members should be directing contractors to spend money.
Yeah.
That was, I feel like, a little bit of a blurry line, and I think we let it go, and that's fine, but it actually has come with a bill, and maybe we can learn to
Yeah.
have open meetings, but also appropriately limit that and make it clear is and maybe if we look back, maybe the committee did decide, let's explore that. But I don't know how formal we were about making the decision to expand the scope about what the engineers were looking at. And it came with a price tag.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we should be explicit about it.
Yeah, all I'm saying is sort of a lesson to learn in the future
Yeah.
to be really clear when we're authorizing a contractor. I mean, they did not say this is gonna cost us
Right.
$3,000 more, and
Right.
maybe we should.
You're already
I was gonna
into
say that too, which is that to say there was a certain expectation coming into it, that there was some flexibility on their part to explore options
Right.
within the context of what they originally proposed. I did not have the expectation that we've only got one shot at this, and this is, based on what you previously
Yeah.
submitted.
Yeah,
So I thought there was some wiggle room there. We had the basics down. So the ramp's gonna go here and not there. But then beyond that, the kind of questions that we were raising were options exploring.
yeah,
And saying, well, what they're basically saying is, the options you explored exceeded what we expected,
yeah,
and so we'd like you to pay more.
Yeah.
I'm saying, well, yeah, okay,
Okay,
no. But
alrighty.
yeah. Okay, so now it's special event law.
There might not even be discussed.
No.
Well, there's several things to discuss, actually. Basically, what,
Wait, I
the
think.
points guys
Was
raised.
Greg about to
Yeah,
tee this up?
Yeah, you don't, I can share it.
I
Yeah.
would love for you to tee it
yes,
up.
if you could, I've got it too, but, so we were pretty close to what we thought we wanted at the last meeting. And we decided we really ought to run it by Guy. And we did, and Guy had some comments. And, Greg replied to the comments to Guy. And the upshot was there are a couple of things we might want to consider changing.
Right, and I can go through, I can scroll on down to where the comments come up. What I've done is I've highlighted the areas, and I've also just added in track changes of what I'm trying to translate, guys, and certainly these are just
Yeah.
my translations, and
Yeah.
just sort of go from there.
And for people in the audience, the reason that the things were highlighted was for Guy's review purpose, we highlighted that which was changed from the last time he looked at it.
Right.
So the version that was linked in the web, or that was linked in the agenda had highlighted portions of that, so that Guy understood what was changed since his last review in February.
But his comments are limited to a subset of those things.
So I guess I'm just going down from the top, but one of the comments was about, I guess it was his first, was just about the difference between the triggering threshold of what would require a permit.
Yeah.
So going back up to the top, under 2, the definition. So how this section of an event that meets this person count and vehicle count threshold, and if it is likely to emit sound significantly exceeding average ambient levels, which are 60 decibels, C-weighted decibels during daytime and 50 at night, the property line. And how that works with when you go on down to section 5, this compliant noise level is considered to be 70 dBc during the day and 55 dBc at night.
Right.
My sense from his comments were not, unlike the other 2 comments, which were, there's problems here. I didn't get that sense from his comment that this is really problematic and this is gonna run a lot of risk here. He was just making the comment that there was it seemed to be, it was hard to connect the 2. And so my explanation back was, there's a triggering threshold, and then those events that get a permit then have to keep it below 70 dBc in the day, or 55 at night. And
His response was, this looks like a noise law. And I said, well, yeah, it kind of is for this
right,
class of things.
right. Yeah, and I mean, his response wasn't, I didn't get the sense of, you know, this is, you're gonna run afoul with this. It was just, this looks like it operates like a noise law. So I mean,
But if that's what you want, if
I think that could be done. Well, either just leave it. I don't think there was any reason to get rid of it. Or just to get rid of that section, and that way, I guess that the thinking, I was trying to sort of pull the thread there, is that if these events are likely to exceed the 60 dBc in the day and 50 at night, then it's up to then there's sort of like a no limit. And
Yes.
if DZA is the one to condition that event.
Too loud, yeah.
Right, so like maybe for instance, there is Ithaca Reggae Fest gonna be held up in Danby, and we want the sound level to be way higher than what is allowed. But this is all just a decision for the town to make, that it seemed like it could be either way, right? Just to cap all events at 70, test it out, see if that works. Or just remove this and leave it a little bit more open-ended, that the DVA can condition that. The sum is, I don't see a reason to get rid of it. It's just it seems like it's just a decision for the town to make.
I mean, I think that was what Guy's comment was aimed at, was that, what's the point of having a permit if you're not gonna be, louder than
Right.
is
I
allowed?
mean, you're getting a permit because you're gonna be, you say you're gonna be
It's loud,
louder,
right.
but then you can't be louder.
Well, you could be louder, but
Not
only,
that
but,
much.
but only a little, well, it's not just a little bit, because it's just a log scale, so,
Well,
Yeah.
60 to 70 or
yeah,
50 to 55. It's not a lot.
right, but that's at the property line. So, well, it goes to the whole question of, what are you willing to? How many times you want something that's just happening in your neighborhood, with the compliant noise levels in here, it's much more likely that that if they adhere to them, it won't be a problem. And people might be more receptive to the idea of it happening every weekend in their neighborhood, if it's going to happen all summer long, which could. If we take the lid off, it's much more likely to be problematic. And then I'm sure, and if that were the case, I would have a much lower tolerance level for how often these things happen in my neighborhood. So we are opening a rather limited door here for
Yeah.
large events to take place. We're not going to have really large noisy events looking to happen in Danby. They'll be constrained essentially to be modestly louder.
Well, these are commercial events. I mean, you
Yeah,
can
that's
have a
right.
raucous wedding. Or
Well, yeah, as I pointed out to people, below the threshold of 300 people on 5 acres or whatever, there's no limit at the moment for how much noise you can make in the town of Danby. We do not have a noise law as of yet. So we have a noise law in effect, we have a noise law here for large events, but not for smaller ones.
or for family
Yeah.
gatherings, holiday parties,
Right,
religious
which are
celebrations,
smaller, large.
graduation parties. I mean, those can get loud.
Yeah, right. And there's no.
They're all exempt.
They're all exempt, exactly. Even if they're not exempt, there's no limit. If they're a commercial event in appropriate commercial location, there's no constraint.
I feel like I'm not really hearing any reason to change it. Like, he gave that feedback.
Yeah, well, and he wasn't saying you ought to.
Yeah,
He
was
basically
saying
says,
to remove
if this is what the board intends, it is what it is,
Yeah.
quote unquote.
It's a term of art.
Yes.
That's not a term of art. I don't know.
If that's what you want, that's okay, I got it, that's basically what he said. But in effect, he was saying, you know what you're doing here? This is the noise law. I said, yep, that's what we intended. He says, okay.
For large events, yeah. We are putting a maximum cap even on events that have a permit. I don't think that that's bad. I kind of feel like people might be, like, that might be in the best interest, even if we're having special events. There's still a limit on how loud people might want that to be.
Yeah.
We don't have a commercial zone. We're not a city, this is still only happening in ag or residential or mixed use.
Could be any place, really.
Right, no, that's what I'm just saying, though.
Yeah.
I feel like, if we had a business, a commercial zone where there's factories and whatever, then yeah, if one day the factory has a big event that's super loud, that feels different than, quiet Danby having an event.
And as I also point out to people, this serves as a basis for a broader law that would cover not large events. I mean, we might want, we have yet to contend with the other problematic loud things, which a noise law would be designed to address. This only addresses that class of events, which is large scale, not exempt, is subject to a constraint on how much noise it can make.
Yeah.
To ensure that it's going to be compatible. Anyway,
This
I got
feels like
no problem with leaving.
It feels like a compromise, and I think it's
Yes,
a good compromise.
it is a compromise, and why not?
I'll keep.
Leave it alone, right? The others were more substantive.
No. But this is it.
Yes.
Where my page is, I see a different page than up there. So those are.
Oh, right, there's the easement thing.
One under, section 8 is application review procedure. In determining whether to grant the conditions or deny a special event permit, the Board of Zoning Appeals should consider the following. And so under J, it's the original language is the language as it stands right now is verification of the grant of the permit without violating the existing covenants or easements on the property. His concern was just like any other kind of subdivision review that happens in town or site plan review where you come across a private covenant that says this property cannot be allowed to have commercial uses for some reason, but it's all of a sudden it's in a commercial zone district. And those two things can feel a conflict. The town is not supposed to enforce private covenants. It might be okay to say, hey, by the way, you've got a private covenant where you have a private easement on your property, you have an easement to the utility company. Work with that utility company or understand you've got this covenant.
Yeah.
So his comment was just don't get in the business of enforcing private easements or private covenants, only public ones. So my suggestion is to just add the language that are held by the town of Danby.
I think that's what we were intending
Yeah.
when we had this draft anyway.
Yes, and I thought that was an excellent catch on his part and an excellent suggestion for resolving on Greg's part.
Yeah.
Just a minor comment or a minor edit for me, I realized that, let me scroll. Section 9 was referring to a former section 5, and I think it's because we added in a number of other sections, so
Is the wrong
section,
reference.
it's actually section 8, which is the one above. So notwithstanding the above criteria contained in section 8, I guess I don't need to say above twice.
Mhm.
In section 8 again is application review procedures. What the impacts on the
Yeah.
event. So notwithstanding those criteria, Board of Zoning Appeals may deny a special event, permit or revoke, suspend or modify based on these factors. And then so leading in, he had concerns, and I think this was the most pressing concern that he had was in the 3 comments that, well, 1, C and F are redundant. Basically, it's saying
They
a
are
previous
redundant.
special event by the same applicant has been subject to a violation or has had an adverse impact or has had any adverse impacts on the surrounding property or town in the last 3 years. And then further down, F, the applicant has failed to conduct a previously permitted special event in accordance with the law or according to a permit or both. That is just a little bit redundant here. What I gathered is that it's a little too squishy. What is an adverse impact on the surrounding neighborhood?
Yeah.
I thought it was a term, just like Joel and I talked about, there's the reasonable person standard. It's actually a battle tested in court to sort of use, the phrase reasonable, and it's not squishy. There's actually court thought that adverse impacts, there's some grounding mechanisms there, and then his comments seemed like, no, it's a little too subjective. So my suggestion, and then he was fine with, was just to be clear that this previous special event by the same applicant has been subject to a violation within the last 3 years. So this person held a special event, they had a violation because of that special event. They're now trying to host another special event within those next 3 years. The board could take that into consideration to deny this new permit.
Yeah, so you had that suggestion. I read it and had the opposite. My inclination was to delete C and keep F.
Oh. I think either one, because F is a little bit more concrete.
Well, and F, it doesn't require you to have issued a violation. You're just reviewing it and you're saying, you didn't do, but we didn't have to actually cite you for having not done it.
Can you scroll up a tiny bit more? I just want to see the second line in there.
It showed well.
You can make it bigger so people can read it. So this covers both, because it says in accordance with the law or the terms of the permit, or both.
So you're
It's been
suggesting to
subject.
keep F.
I would keep F and get rid of.
It's been subject to a violation, so they got a violation within the last 3 years, and C.
The biggest
And
difference is
F-
whether we see it, we
That says
actually issued a
previously.
violation.
Exactly.
it doesn't really, it just says they didn't follow the law. Doesn't mean they got a violation.
Right,
Right,
exactly.
I kind of like the violation one.
Do you?
violation is, that one's more clear.
Just clear, I don't,
Well, it's clear that you have to issue a violation, otherwise you don't have any
Right.
basis for not doing it.
right, the
Right.
other just, they just failed to conduct a. They didn't follow the law,
And how do you
but that
know
doesn't
that?
mean they were violated. I mean,
I mean, it doesn't mean that we issued a violation.
right,
Well, the
right,
way
I
I
think
can-
we need to issue a violation.
The way I can imagine this working though is if somebody hosts an event, gets a permit, and then plays music much, much louder, and for some reason we don't issue the violation, but they come with another permit application and their neighbors say, show up to the BZA and they say, that was, you did not do what you said you were gonna do the last time we were here. The town failed to issue a violation, but you were way louder than you said you were gonna be. Can the BZA take that into consideration, or can they only take it into consideration whether they got a violation or not?
That was my concern.
I'm just trying to play it all the way out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, and when I did propose these modifications to delete F and to just modify C as this, guy's response was, yeah, no, he only had a further question about the sound. He
yeah.
didn't challenge this,
Well, I mean, either way, I think he'd be okay with either way.
And I think either way, the neighbors can show up and express how past events impacted them, and the BZA will take it into account. That's in here in another section where it says, what are the, right, the further up where there's a lot more letters, I forget what it is one of those above J, the impacts on adjacent property owners and surrounding neighborhoods. So to me, that says both bases are covered either way. So the bottom one can maybe be simplified to just focus on the violation. And here, this still gives the BZA the grounds to say, this event is going to negatively impact too many of your neighbors. We can't allow it or have to limit it or something. So I feel like I'm okay with what Greg is suggesting up here, only because I think it's covered either way.
Yeah,
I think.
and we should be acting, instead of dragging our feet, we should be issuing
If
violations,
if someone does violate, we should be issuing violation.
just like with junk in the yard.
Well, yeah, well then, and one of the reasons why I'm inclined to go the other way, because given our record of
Well,
aggressively enforcing anything.
Let's work on
right, yeah.
Joel is right.
Right.
But choosing the language that Greg has here,
Mhm.
that Guy already approved, doesn't take away the BZA's ability to deny a permit,
No.
whether or not there was a violation. He can still, like, if a neighbor shows up to say you didn't follow the rules last time and it had a negative impact, that's still a standing for the BZA to.
Yeah, I mean, pointing to that other
Right,
provision.
so I'm just to say, if we want to follow what Guy has
Yeah.
suggested, because we asked him his feedback and he gave it, I don't think that we'd lose anything by
Yeah.
striking it.
That wasn't just, I mean, that was Greg's suggestion for how to deal with
Right.
Guy's concern,
Right.
not that Guy suggested this
I
way to
understand.
deal with it.
Yeah.
Blake?
There's a request to comment online from Dave Green.
No, we're gonna have a privilege of the floor, or whatever you call it.
It's also 3 minutes to 8.
Yeah.
The eight ones.
Well, this is true.
Maybe Ted can submit his comments by email.
Yeah.
Well, all right, so here we are. Well, I move we give ourselves, I don't know, 10 minutes to finish up.
To finish up this,
Yeah, but I think we're pretty close to being able to say, yeah, we're good on this.
all right,
Because
I'll second that.
because we were going to go for public hearing,
Yeah,
so moving a second in 10 minutes.
All right, Connors?
yes,
Dylan?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Thank you.
So if we go with Greg's suggestion here and delete F, that's the only thing, right?
well, there was that other.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
delete F and modify C.
Right.
Add, modify C,
Yeah,
add what? Excuse me, I left with the 8J
Right,
Yeah.
and that was it. I
Yeah.
just highlighted this.
right.
Discussed.
Yeah.
So I mean, and so that, now, that's the question, is, you regard these as substantive changes?
Doesn't feel like it.
No. What's 10 say? Section 10.
Enforcement of that.
There, okay, never mind. That was the only other change I have.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's not substantive, we've already, is it already in process? So we can have the public hearing on the 7th?
Yeah. Did it go out or
This
this?
has to be gone out.
Okay, so this-
This could be the version, yes, it's just kind of. The public hearing hasn't been noticed yet. The
Okay.
county's been, we submitted the last version to the county, it can be a simple. You know, they're still within the 30 days till the public
Yes.
hearing is, I think Blake's gonna do that tomorrow. This is what agreed on,
Mm-hmm.
they made a couple of tweaks here, can you just comment on this one instead?
Okay,
I'm good with that.
I'm good.
yeah,
So I move that we confirm that with these minor changes, this is what we're going to propose and have the public hearing on the 7th.
Second, that,
Can we do the secret review on the 7th?
secret,
Or
we can
we-
do
we
a
could
secret
do it
review
between-
next week.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that for next town board
Yeah.
meeting agenda items, at least as just an agenda item for discussion that.
No,
George should start preparing the secret review. I think it might be a couple of meetings to go through that. So there's 3 meetings between
Sorry.
now, or 2 meetings,
Two meetings.
there's 3 in total. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Right.
2,
Only two.
including the 7th,
So you should start, I think the board should start
Yeah.
reviewing the secret next.
next month, yeah.
And then it could be completed,
If we don't- Yeah, if we don't get through it next time, but we might not.
yeah,
Well, at least initiate it.
yeah.
started sooner.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, so we're good.
Wait, you just did a motion and I seconded. We didn't do the vote, right?
No, we're just about to
Okay, I
vote.
just, I couldn't.
he's waiting for us. to
Yeah.
start.
Right. There was discussion prior to the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
We love discussion. All right, Connors?
yes.
Dylan?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes,
Thank you.
so items for next agenda include seeker.
And also I'd suggest considering a fee for the special event permit. Because
Oh,
when you
right.
go to adopt this law, in that resolution adopting it should be a fee. It could always be done later,
Yeah,
but assuming that maybe somebody might want to apply for a permit this summer, that set the fee.
and on that point, the fee is for an application. We don't yet have an application associated with this.
There is a draft one, but I'm not sure.
I think you just sent it to me after you and I talked this week.
Right.
The rest of the board is yet to see it.
I'll-
I haven't seen it.
I sent that up.
I haven't-
I draft.
That makes you feel
Okay,
better.
an application.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay,
So we'll take a look at that at the next meeting too.
Yeah.
Sure. So you seek a review the application, consider a
Fee.
fee.
Fee. Okay,
okay, and the FOIL policy appeals thing.
if we can get to it, we should update our codification. We keep putting it on and not getting to it, but
Well, I think with Greg being out, it's gonna be.
it might be hard to do.
Yeah,
Oh, the codification,
Yeah,
I'm glad it's brought up because I feel like I'm the one that uses the law the most and I really want to move that forward, but there's a lot of things that are beyond the laws that I just use mostly, what I'm saying is that I think there needs to be other eyes on it, like how Joel and Leslie, we met one time and
yes,
worked through a couple of questions, but I think it needs a committee almost to just go through, every week, just have a set time and we just work through it because I really would love to be using this code book.
yes,
So,
yeah. If we wait till you get back, we're losing a couple months on top of what we've already lost.
I mean, you don't need to wait for me. There are a lot of questions in there that are about taxation and animal laws and things that I had nothing to do with. So
Mhm.
it would be great if, even if you just got those questions done, and then when I come back, I'd talk about the, environmental quality review, the zoning and the subdivision, the stormwater law. Those are the 4 laws that I'm really using most.
It would make sense, it seems to me, to have Blake be heavily involved with this. Because we're talking about records.
I am not keen on this idea. Board's best.
Do those comments live in a place that I can find them?
Yeah, he just needs
Yeah.
access.
Yep.
Okay,
Do you know how to give him access, Mariah?
Yes,
thanks. I'll
Yeah.
Just be interested.
Yeah, I
I
would
think that.
yeah,
I have to see if I still have access or not.
you.
I
have-
have
has
to
it been taken
remember how to
away?
have access.
Well, everything was taken
Oh,
away, so.
Maybe I can give your other email address access, so you can log in. Okay, cool.
That would be,
Okay,
I was able to get a lot of stuff today,
we,
or
We
yesterday.
definitely need to do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
With everything else. And things have a way of popping up.
May 5th, meeting minutes,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
that needs to be on next
Yeah,
month's
right,
agenda. And are we doing more with the town hall accessibility design?
no,
No,
don't know.
that's not,
Well, we might have it, at that point, we might have it, suggested, we might have a contract documents by next time.
that's what. he
Yeah,
was
if they
talking
get it to us.
Okay.
Yeah. And I hope they do,
Great to move it on.
yeah.
Okay,
This is not a next meeting thing, but I forgot that I was going to do this earlier and I didn't find a place for it, so. The writers group has been meeting for the past 2 weeks, judging by the fact that no one.
Which group?
The writers group that.
Oh, right,
Uh-huh.
right.
Yeah, any complaints? Cool, I told them I'd do a quick check-in just to see, if the board.
The
has-
neighbors are all complaining about how much noise.
Yeah, the noise. the scratching has been really,
Worse.
Not surprisingly, there hasn't been anything said.
yeah,
Okay, with that, we have covered the agenda. And
okay.
and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Gavel.
Yeah.
I feel like the meeting needs to be ending.